watch out!
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have really given us a back and forth on what we think about it, but I am pleased to say that the newest trailer showcases just how next level this game will be for the series. There is so much hidden in this new trailer, so for now, I'm going to go over some of the biggest things that you missed. For the uninitiated, I'm Johto Jonny, a gaming analyst here on the Red Tube that looks for the most overlooked secrets and details in video games, both unreleased and released. That being said, let's get started. First, I'd like to direct your attention to the updated website for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Previously, the website stated that we would need to battle Pokemon to catch them. However, now all traces of that statement have been erased, and as of this newest trailer, we have still yet to see how Pokemon encounters are sparked. Did Game Freak add in Pokemon Legends catching mechanics this year? A few shots later in the trailer do hold some water for this theory, such as one where all of our Pokemon are out with our trainer. Time will tell how we do this, but if they really did add it in, then this game will very much be as next level as we were all expecting. Next, I'd like to point out something a few people did miss in the trailer, and I want to bring it up so no one is confused. That being a disclaimer for the voice acting. The voice acting heard in this trailer was recorded specifically for the trailer and not the game. However, does this mean voice acting won't be in the game at all? I'm actually doubtful about that. After all, they had the brains to include voice acting for the Academy Director in this trailer as he speaks in what clearly looks like footage from the game. This entire scene is very akin to the opening of Pokemon Sword and Shield, which did not include voice acting. It's hard to imagine they'd disclude it this time around for Clovel's opening statements after how poorly people reacted to Chairman Rose's non-voice acted speech in Sword and Shield. If this really is the first Pokemon game that has voice acting in it, no one could disagree that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are next level. Now, for the trailer itself, something you'll notice right away is how expressive Pokemon are now, taking their expressiveness from Pokemon Legends Arceus to the next level. Arcanine opens up and closes its mouth as it's looking around, panting and wagging its tail. Murkrow both stands on the ground and flies around, whereas in Legends, they only flew. Pineco hangs from a tree, exactly as you'd expect it to. This is something we haven't seen much of in the past, so that's very next level for sure. And also might give further water for Legends catching mechanics being in the game, unless we just shake the tree or something to get the Pineco out. On top of this, flying Pokemon apparently have a lot of range of where they can fly, seeing as to how close this bird Pokemon flies to Pineco. One shot even shows Vigoroth yelling at a sleeping Slackoth. This is a whole new level of interaction between wild Pokemon that we've never seen before. At least, not from a mainline Pokemon game. Even NPC Pokemon that we can't catch have movements, whereas in Sword and Shield and prior, they stood still until interacted with. Psyduck follows a trainer around outside of the school, so it looks like we're not the only ones who will have follow Pokemon this time around. NPCs will too. I mentioned this earlier, but we can take all 6 of our Pokemon out at once. Is this the rumored Pokemon Picnic mode, or something more altogether? Like I said, this may correlate to the catching mechanics from Legends being implemented this year during development, as this would also allow us to throw our Pokemon out in the overworld on the spot. But perhaps this is simply a photo mode. We know that a photo mode will be a thing as we see later on, so that's a definite possibility. However, I can't say that a simple photo mode would lead me to call this feature next level. What is very next level though is the way the Pokedex is now handled. Every Pokemon seems to get their own little booklet that has a cool flipping animation before it goes into our inventory. On top of this, the best part is each Pokemon has a unique photo that showcases it in its natural environment. Now, I'm not sure if we took this photo that we see of Lechonk here, but regardless, even if this is a photo that comes stock for the Pokemon, I'm still very happy with this feature. It's really nice to look at. There may even be photos of it depending on the time of day, as you see this little sun icon at the top here with the Y button right next to it. So I'm wondering if we press the Y button, if it'll show us Lechonk, for instance, in a different time of day and maybe a different picture, or maybe the same picture but with different lighting. Very curious to see that. Another curious detail in the trailer is that Pokemon evolve in the overworld instead of entering a separate screen for evolution. This is a series first, and I wonder how this translates into gameplay. Character models also have extreme detail in their movements and physics. Their expressiveness is not only the best the mainline Pokemon series has ever seen, but even by general gaming standards, these animations, models, textures, and their physics are very well done. Shadow and lighting effects have been taken to the next level in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and they look great on the Pokemon, characters, and even the environments. Looking at the very first shot of the trailer, you can see shadow detail with every grass blade, which there are a lot of, by the way, as well as every crevice on Arcanine's fur. This not only showcases these updated Pokemon models better, but goes a long way in making the entire game look astounding overall. The best example of this is the shot of Dragonair. Look at how gorgeous the bloom lighting looks. It looks even better than it did in the first trailer for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This time around, it isn't drowning out any of the assets, Pokemon, or environments. Matter of fact, it casts a shadow on the side of Dragonair that we can see while maintaining a glisten around the edges of her skin and horns that come in direct contact with the light. This is exactly how light should work in real life, so this lighting engine is much appreciated. If you want to see just how far the game's visuals have come, look no further than the shot-for-shot scenes that were recreated for the newest trailer versus the second trailer. Sprigatito is the easiest to tell with how you can see that they've definitely added texture to her fur, and the light from the sun hits her in a much more natural, blended way to reflect that. She no longer looks like a toy like she did in the second trailer. Game Freak has also added a depth of field effect to blur the background and make the focal point, being Sprigatito, much crisper. Minor details go a long way in making Scarlet and Violet the best looking mainline Pokemon game so far, such as how we can see flocks of bird Pokemon in the sky in the shots of the school. Skyboxes are also more lively than ever, as we even see shooting stars. How magical! One odd omission though, as far as minor details go, is water splashing when Pokemon are swimming. Gyarados and Dragonair both don't cause waves in the water, which is weird since this is a detail that was included in Pokemon Legends. On the bright side, unlike in Sword and Shield where this was insanely jarring because the water looked like muck, water is translucent in Scarlet and Violet, so it doesn't look nearly as bad to not have splashes. For full immersion though, I do hope they add it in for the final product. Size variations for Pokemon seem to be back, but some shots do still make me doubtful as we clearly see some groups of Pokemon having the same size. Regardless, large Pokemon do seem to be portrayed at accurate size. Well, at least in the overworld, as we see with Hariyama and Noivern. In a fight, however, Hariyama is seen being shorter than our 10-year-old trainer. The fight with Arcanine and Satitan also has me worried. Satitan is supposed to be 14 feet tall according to the website, but he barely looks taller than Grusha here. I'm having Sword and Shield PTSD looking at these scenes, and I really don't like that. Why do they insist on making large Pokemon be smaller than literal 10-year-olds? 3D games are special because of how they show grand scale. They have that ability. Pokemon Legends Arceus understood this, so why can't any other Game Freak Pokemon game? I can't stress enough how much of a peeve this is of mine, so I'm sorry if this is the 100th time you've heard this from me, but this might literally be the third mainline traditional Pokemon game in a row to let us down with this. All hope isn't lost though. Pokemon do seem to also have proper size scaling in raid battles, as we can see here with Serena being much smaller than Hydreigon. Hydreigon also seems to be much larger than the previous battle that we saw him in, so these sizes I keep talking about may just be products of size variation, as we may or may not have been seeing throughout these trailers. I really do hope that's the case anyway. We know we have 3 stories that we can tackle in any order during Scarlet and Violet. One has already been revealed to be the gym challenge, and another was hinted to be the treasure hunt for the academy. The third story looks implied to be the evil team story, and I believe we've seen bits and pieces of them with any shot involving these flags, including the fort our trainer rides up to and this odd vehicle that bridges the gap between looking old-fashioned and futuristic. A nice touch for really bridging the divide between both versions of the game. Side note, this man in pink is almost definitely from the evil team. I mean, look at him. Also, he has a name tag, so he seems to be a guest speaker or something at the academy, probably spewing his philosophy to the students. Other theories involve him just being an actual good guy that looks macho on the outside but is really a softie on the inside. The treasure hunt story might involve the lighthouses we see in the trailers and on the map, and may even lead into the giant time paradox at the center of the map. Perhaps we'll even encounter a time paradox legendary at the end of this story. I'm hoping it's Suicune, since he has a crystal aesthetic, and because I'm biased, he is my favorite legendary Pokemon. Regardless, with there being 3 stories that we can tackle in any order, switching progression for each at our own pace, it'll be super cool to be able to choose whether or not you tackle the 2 other stories before or after you become the champion of the region. Raid battles might take place in quantum time crystals, a concept which Kayla's Capsule explained in a video a while back. We see trainers throw Pokeballs several different ways throughout this trailer, so I wonder if we can customize that. We could do this in Sun and Moon, so it'd be nice to see this mechanic return. What do you guys think? There is more analysis to come, as I already have an exhaustive list of things to cover, but these were the biggest things that I wanted to talk about right away to spark some fun conversation. I'll be covering the smaller things and much more in some follow-up analysis, so stick around the channel if you want to be there to find them out. In the meantime, I've been Johto Jonny. Peace out, everybody.